So what do you call yourself? Welcome to the LaTangela Show. Hey.
Hey, what can I do for you this fine day?
This is your destiny. Hot, hot, hot.
Right now.
Welcome to the LaTangela Show. Come on in and enjoy yourself.
Right now.
We gon' party like no one else. Welcome to the LaTangela Show.
So much, yes,
How
in the
are
room.
you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
So far, so good. You know, I got the Taj Paxton in the hot seat on the tan line. So life is looking up. I have no reason to complain.
Yes, I'm happy to be on your line because you are quite an entrepreneur, quite a media personality, quite busy. So thank you for making the time for me too. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that more than you know. I promise you I do. How did you know that the space of documentaries was something that was even of interest to you?
Oh, I love that you asked me that question in specific. I have always loved documentaries and I really wanted to do them for a long time. But you believe certain things about an industry or about a project, your brain can trick you and say, oh, that's not possible. I know you want to do that, but that's not possible. You're not going to make any money. You can go through all the lists. We all have the dreams. And it was on that list of dreams. And an opportunity came where someone asked me to run a documentary division. Her name is Pam Post, who I love to death for asking me to do that. And it meant that it put me in a place to make them rapidly and a lot and to have impact. And it just helped me see like it matters to do what moves you. Like just do it. And all kinds of other things will open up as a result of that. That's been true for me, I'll say.
You know, and that's awesome because that is a level of transparency for you to say someone saw something in you, but you were in motion. It
I was
wasn't just
emotional.
on that list sitting there collecting dust. It was something that may have frightened you because of all of the static, but you were still willing to implement whatever it was that was within you to do that. So when she asked, you answered that call, and bam, 5 Emmys later, like the warm up is still in full effect. Like, here we are.
Yes, definitely. Oh, are you sure you're not Kojic? Because that cadence is Kojic. I don't know about this Baptist thing. I don't know.
Look, preacher's kid, Baptist, let me tell you now. I guess it kind
Oh,
of goes
got
together,
you.
you know. Um, while you're in the midst of telling the stories, how do you know which ones you really want to work on? Because everybody got a story to tell, but how does it resonate with you to say this is going to be the one that I'm going to help ink and to put on a different platform?
Yeah, when you're a producer, you have this sense of who is somebody who is going to go the distance, who has a voice, who's unafraid, who's tackling a topic, in my case, that might be super specific. So, say it's about an LGBT hero, or it's about a moment in time, or it's about a roller skating hero. That's a doc that I worked on. It's about this movement. Is it specific? And is it specific enough that once it gets super specific, then it becomes universal? That's what I'm looking for. And so as a director, I find myself gravitating towards the same topics. Can I talk about something specific, but when you drop it into the world, it feels big? Like WNBA, you're talking about these athletes who are elite and these big personalities, but what's universal about what you're talking about is women who give their all, Black women who give their all and are underpaid and underseen. And I feel like that people understand no matter what. Once you take away all the shine and the play, what they're doing is giving their all to their jobs. And they're saying, can you pay us? Can you acknowledge us? We're building community. We're keeping people together. Just give it back to us.
Right. And as the director and executive director of WNBA 2024, the year that changed everything. So before we get to the 2024, where the year that changed everything came about, what were some of those stories that led up to it to say now was the time for us to stamp this and really go in?
It was Hello Sunshine, which is Reese Witherspoon's company, was working on documentaries about women's stories in general. That's their focus. And then they switched to sport, not switched, they added sports as a lane because The executive producer there, Sarah Ray, felt like this is a great lane to be in. So they put together this slate of films, and they're going to cover all these topics: hockey, NASCAR, X Games, extreme sports, and then they added the W. And when they came to me at that moment, when they were already decided, it was what's the best way to talk about it now and make it feel current. And so the producer said, let's make it a capsule movie. That's what you call it, a capsule. So I was like, great, but you can't talk about 2024 without talking about the roots of the game. So that's what we did our best to do. Is every time you see us celebrating a moment in 2024, you're tying it back to 27 other years of women playing and what that meant. And to do it all in 85 minutes and make it entertaining, and back to being specific, like find people, five specific people they can follow. So that's what we did too. So you're focusing on Angel Reese, obviously, Asia Wilson, who was the league MVP that year and still is, Jonquel Jones, who played for the New York Liberty, and just a great underdog story. Like, if you can't relate to Jonquel's story, like, I don't even know where your heart is.
Yeah.
And Nafisa Collier, who's a leader in every sense of the word, like just stand up, back straight, do the right thing kind of leader, as well as an amazing basketball player and just a strategist of a woman. And of course, Caitlin Clark, whose entry into the league, brought a whole lot of new viewers too. So that was the focus.
It's shifting an industry that people love, whether they're familiar with it or not. And the fact that you're educating us in this lane, it's edutainment. We're being educated on the history of it while being entertained by the story, by the sport, by the sacrifice, and by the precision that you have to have in order to even put that together to make it all make sense. Because if you just do like the highlights, you're not going to miss anybody. We'll still be entertained. But how do you know what you're going to leave on the cutting room floor when all of it is getting so good? Like that would just eat me up. Like we got to remix this thing to about 12 times.
That's exactly what you do. You're remixing like 12 times. I wish that it was not the case, but you are remixing. Sometimes every single night you're remixing. You're
Yeah.
just throwing it together and you're tossing in a new scene and you're saying, oh, what about that moment when one of them was playing with their daughter? Do we put in a segment on motherhood? Okay, let's put it together. So you put in a segment on motherhood. Let's move it around. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then that's on Monday. And by Friday, you're like, oh, the motherhood segment is not quite working. Snatch it out, throw in something else. And it's constantly like that, particularly when you're doing it in this time frame. Like, to me, when you're making what we call like extended docs, a feature film doc, you can take years. And we did this in 8 months. So you just don't have
Wow.
the time to be precious about as many decisions, for good or for bad, but you just don't have the time. So we had to move really quickly, and your heart breaks over what you have to leave on the floor. There were some scenes around motherhood, around people's origin stories that just we couldn't get in the time allotted, or powers that be were like, not so much that.
Yeah.
So you have to forget things, and you do think about it. I know why filmmakers now, remember back in the day when people would do DVDs and they would have the extended scenes, or
Exactly.
like the director is sitting there for 2 hours going over, oh, this was that, and then I wish we had that, and it used to feel like, okay, you made your movie, go sit down. But now
But
I
now you
get it.
understand it.
You get it. You just want to talk about it. I mean, I'm actually joking. I never felt that way. You understand already why filmmakers want to do what they do. I grew up in film and I love it. And I get why you want to tell the audience something. At the end of the day, you're a person who loves movies, period. And you're just privileged and blessed to be able to do this for a living. That's how it feels.
Absolutely. And then you're paving the way still, even in this moment, to amplify those voices that are being heard in a space right now that's so constantly challenged. Even though they've come so far, it's still being challenged so much. And to be able to tell their story in their voices and to let people see it and hear it to gain a greater level of understanding versus just saying it on one take and then it goes away. So while you're working with your team on this, did you all have this aha moment at any point, whether it was doing the timeline, whether it was fine tuning the editing, that just made it all come together? Like, you know what? This is it. This make it all make sense.
That's a good question. Now I see why you're so good at this. These
Uh-uh.
questions are so thoughtful. The moment that we locked in and thought this is going to really work is it's a couple of different moments.
Uh-huh.
But one story was Jonquil Jones that she came from the Bahamas when she's 14 to play basketball. And the moment she tells this story about putting up people growing up and everybody putting up a milk crate on the pole, and that's how you learn how to shoot. And it was something about that story. It was so visual. And I thought, there it is. We
Yeah.
can carry this all the way through. Like she's the one that we have to follow because she's willing to be that. It was just so sweet and visual.
Yeah.
And we all know what it's like to be little and looking up to something and having a dream. And so for her to have realized it, it made it special. And once you have a visual as a filmmaker in your head, you can go. So we went with that and just tracked her through the season, like all her highs and lows.
That's a deep reminder to people to stop taking things for granted. Here it is, she had to travel so far away from home, and home was a milk crate or trying to get something that kids today very well may walk past, not even see the beauty in, or even want to play with. And it changed her life. Not
Yeah.
only did it change her life, but it taught her what dedication and commitment looks like, and it fed a dream. I mean, those are the stories that people, we don't want to talk about it because we only want to see the finished product. So these documentaries
Yes,
in these spaces, it's a healing process for the world.
it is. I think every time somebody shows you what they can do, it reminds you of what you can do. And
Right.
what you're saying is key. Like people want to see the glory, but not the whole story. And that can do you a disservice if you don't look at the parts along the way. But I'm guilty too. Like even when you're talking, you sometimes only share your glory. You don't share the difficult parts. You
Yeah.
don't say, "Oh, this was really hard, and there was a whole week where I didn't even know if I could do this anymore," and I blah blah blah. Like people don't share that part. But I think athletes have a great it's so immediate. They're always up against a challenge. So they're always analyzing, being down, then being up, being down, then being up. So it's a good metaphor for the rest of us that you're always taking stock and pushing.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I got questions that need answers now, Taj. When you have to keep yourself motivated, where do you go to find that zen, that happy space, that level of creativity for you that helps you eliminate the static to either center or just stop, slow down, start over? Like, what does that look like for you?
I'll go to the rock. Okay. When all else is sinking sand, I go to the rock.
Yeah.
That's real though, too. I mean, I go to the rock. I will put on a playlist in a minute. I will remember my scriptures. I will remember what I've been taught. I remember what's been put inside of me. And I love nature. I'll go into nature in the silence, and I'm a fool for a pool. I'll go sit by a pool. And for the most part, I get quiet. That's what I do when I'm not really sure. And I feel like I have this motto is get quiet, get clear, get going. So if you're ever not sure, it's like just slow down a little bit more. Take a step, take a walk, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is. And I feel like that's my way for sure. I'm also blessed. I'm so blessed though, in that I have two parents. I came from two parents who really showed me what it's like to go deep when you have to do something. I grew up watching my mother go to law school at night when I was 4. And that's when she starts and she goes all the way through and becomes, who she's become. And, I had a dad who kicked his challenges. And it's like when you have that inside of you, I look at it and I think, I I have so much to give. Keep going.
Look, come from good stock. Can't slow down now.
Can't slow down. Mississippi, Texas, good stock.
Absolutely. And you have so many more stories to tell. I know we're going to be sitting in front of the television because Peacock and Apple TV, they got this one all the way together. And I'm here for it. I'm talking about we bringing the good snacks too. I want some popcorn. You know what? Might even have to throw in some beignets. So get to Louisiana. There's always a story to tell somewhere between here and there. And as you continue to work on these wonderful things, I want you to think of this as an extension of your office. So feel free to tell them you need to jump in the hot seat and on the tan line and let's talk about it.
Oh my God, thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you. We need a tan line. You are a welcome, warm group. I would love to talk to you about everything that I'm doing and from here and on. So thank you for that.
Say less. Your family, now you're stuck with me. I know you have more work to do. So I'm going to let you chase the sun or let the sun chase you. But either way, get after it. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it, Taj. You heard
I heard you.
me.